What if I told you a country can lose control of its own economy without ever being invaded? What if the real takeover doesn't come with tanks or soldiers, but with debt? In 2001, Greece entered the Eurozone full of optimism. It was seen as a major step forward, a path towards stability, growth, and integration with Europe's strongest economies. But what followed became one of the most important financial warnings in modern history. This is the story of how Greece went from prosperity to losing control of its own financial system. It all began with cheap money. By adopting the euro, Greece suddenly gained access to something it had never truly experienced before: extremely low borrowing costs. Investors treated Greek debt almost like German debt, which meant Greece could borrow massive amounts of money at very low interest rates. And so it did. Government spending increased rapidly, public sector wages went up, infrastructure projects expanded, the economy appeared to be growing fast. On the surface, everything looked fine, but underneath, the system was fragile. Tax evasion was widespread, the public sector was bloated, corruption was deeply embedded, and most importantly, the government was spending far more than it was earning. But as long as money kept flowing, no one asked too many questions. Then came 2008. The global financial crisis changed everything. When Lehman Brothers collapsed, it didn't just shake the banking system, it shattered trust across global markets. Investors became cautious. They started looking more closely at risk, and eventually they looked at Greece. In 2009, the truth came out. Greece had been underreporting its budget deficit for years. The real number wasn't small. It was nearly 15% of GDP, far beyond what European rules allowed. And just like that, trust disappeared. Borrowing costs surged, investors pulled back, and Greece suddenly found itself locked out of financial markets. No one wanted to lend anymore. That was the moment the system broke. By 2010, Greece had no good options left: default or ask for help. So it turned to international institutions: the International Monetary Fund, the European Central Bank, and the European Commission. Together, they formed what became known as the Troika. Financial assistance was offered, but it came with conditions, severe conditions: spending cuts, tax increases, pension reductions, structural reforms. This was austerity, and it hit hard. The economy didn't recover, it shrank. Unemployment climbed to 27%. Youth unemployment exceeded 60%. People weren't just losing jobs, they were losing stability, security, and in many cases, hope. At this point, the crisis was no longer just economic. It became political. And more importantly, it became about control. Greece still had a government, it still held elections, its flag still flew. But the real decisions? They were no longer made in Athens. Budgets, taxes, reforms, they were dictated by external institutions. For many, it felt like sovereignty had quietly slipped away. And history had seen this before. Empires and nations have lost control not through war, but through debt. And now, in the modern era, a European country is experiencing something very similar. Then came 2015, the peak of the crisis. Banks were shut down, cash withdrawals were limited, people stood in line just to access their own money. The country faced a critical decision: accept the bailout terms or reject them. A national referendum was held. The result was clear: the people voted no. But within days, everything changed. The government reversed course, because the alternative, leaving the euro, was seen as even more dangerous. In the end, Greece accepted an even harsher deal, and with that, control over its financial system became even more limited. Today, Greece has stabilized, but the cost was enormous. An entire decade of growth was lost. The economy shrank dramatically, and debt climbed to over 160% of GDP. But the biggest loss wasn't just economic, it was control. Because this story isn't just about Greece, it's about something much bigger. Debt is not just a number, it's not just an economic tool. Under the right conditions, It becomes power. The kind of power that can reshape economies, influence governments, and determine the future of entire nations. And today, global debt levels are higher than ever before. So the real question is this: is this story truly in the past, or are we just watching the early stages of it happening again, somewhere else? If this video gave you a new perspective, subscribe to the Economic Blueprint, because here we don't just talk about history, we break down how money really works and how it shapes the world around you.